Brothels in ancient Rome. And if I told you that a night of pleasure in ancient Rome cost less than a loaf of bread, it seems unbelievable, right? But in the brothels of Pompeii and throughout the empire, sex was a real business, regulated, taxed, and accessible to anyone, even emperors. Forget the romantic idea of ancient Rome, made up only of temples and triumphs. Today, I'm taking you to the darker, more fascinating and scandalous side of Roman civilization. Together, we will discover how much a night of love cost, how the brothels worked, who the women and men who worked there were, and what secrets the streets of pleasure of antiquity hid. Prepare for a journey through spicy stories, erotic coins, and absurd prices, because the true face of Rome is not what you find in history books. Are you ready to enter the brothels of the Roman Empire? Then stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you will leave you speechless. Imagine walking through the cobblestone streets of Pompeii, the sun warming the peeling walls of the ancient houses, Latin inscriptions whispering forgotten stories. Then, among the narrowest alleys, you find a particular building, small rooms, stone beds, and on the walls erotic frescoes that leave no room for the imagination. Here's the English translation. Welcome to the Lupanari of Pompeii, the most famous brothel of antiquity. Here, sex was not a sin but a profession. It was a business, an institution regulated by the state, and above all, it was accessible to everyone. You might be surprised to discover that in ancient Rome, a night of pleasure cost less than a loaf of bread. But behind these walls, there weren't only pleasures and desires. There were also stories of exploitation, power, and hypocrisy. Let's step together into this forbidden world and discover its secrets. The Lupanaria, from the Latin lupa, she-wolf, a term used to refer to prostitutes, were an integral part of Roman life. Some were simple rooms in the back of taverns. Others, like the one in Pompeii, were true institutions. 2 floors, 2 different worlds. The ground floor was for common clients, with tiny rooms and straw mattresses. The upper floor, however, was reserved for the wealthier, with erotic frescoes on the walls. A sort of visual menu showing the available services. Graffiti left by clients bear witness to an era without taboos. One of them reads, Felix hic futuit. Felix fucked here. Felix here, try to guess what. The Lupanaria were not hidden. They were public, well signposted, and even promoted through inscriptions on the sidewalks. But don't think that all that glitters is gold. For the women who worked here, life was anything but easy. Did you know that in ancient Rome, a night of pleasure cost less than a loaf of bread? Prices in the Lupanaria of Pompeii started from just 2 asses, the equivalent of a glass of wine. For such a low price, a plebeian could afford a moment of pleasure. The most sought-after woman in the Lupanar charged 16 asses, a luxury for the few. But what are these figures worth today? A night with a prostitute could cost less than 1 kilo of bread. Juvenal, a satirical poet, wrote with disdain about Roman lust. There is no shame in this city. Everything is for sale and pleasure is bought for its weight in gold or copper. In Rome, paid sex was not a vice, but a regulated profession with official registration. Prostitutes had to register with the aediles and pay a tax. There were different rates. Brothels for plebeians were cheap, while high-ranking courtesans entertained senators and even emperors. Slavery and exploitation. Many prostitutes were slaves, sold at the age of 12-14. The lenones, the managers of the brothels, bought slaves for 600 sesterces, a real business of the time. Seneca wrote with bitterness about the condition of prostitutes. They do not belong to themselves. They have no future. They are rented bodies, broken souls. Conflicting laws on prostitution. Tiberius forbade the use of coins bearing his effigy in brothels so as not to tarnish his image. Augustus severely punished adultery but allowed official prostitution. Hadrian and Domitian tried to limit it, but without success. The paradox: men could frequent the Lupanaria without consequences, while free women who prostituted themselves were marked for life. Messalina, the dissolute empress, it is said that Emperor Claudius's wife disguised herself to work in a lupanar, competing with the prostitutes to see who could have the most clients in one night. Tacitus recounts that while her rank demanded honor, her body sought pleasure behind a false name. On the walls of the Lupanari of Pompeii, we find ironic, desperate, and even advertising phrases, messages from clients. Veni, vidi, futui. Came, I saw, I fucked. I came, I saw, and guess what? Testimonies from prostitutes. I work here, but my heart belongs to another. Hidden advertising. Attis, the best in the Lupanari, will make you forget the world. In ancient Rome, a night of pleasure cost less than a loaf of bread. If these scandalous details intrigue you, continue to follow the channel.